Hello, everyone. It's nice to virtually meet you. My name is Mr. Hammond, and I'm fortunate enough to be the AP Human Geography teacher at Olympian High School. Every year, I like to have a parent info night for AP Human Geography. It's normally the first AP class freshmen take at Olympian High School, and I find it very helpful. With the quarantine, we clearly can't do that, so I thought I'd give that information to you guys virtually. So here we go. So, number one, congratulations on getting into Olympian High School. We are consistently within the top 3% of high schools throughout the country. We work very hard to do so, to be so. And so, and this is our mission statement. We hope that every graduate at Olympian High School will qualify and be academically ready for success in a four-year university. And this part I'm adding and putting in italics, or whatever career path they choose. So once you're done at Olympian High School, you will know how to think, you'll know how to study, whether you go into culinary arts or the military or university, you are going to be ready to school the crap out of whatever it is you decide to do. Um, as for myself, I went to University of Pacific and got my BA in International Studies. Technically, it's a Bachelor of Arts in International Relations with an economic emphasis and a minor in business management, but hey, who's counting? While I was at University of Pacific, I also got to study at RGGU, which is one of the premier universities in Moscow. And I also spent a summer at Georgetown University, which was a lot of fun. And I learned a lot there as well. I did PR for about 7 years outside of college, and then I decided to switch into teaching. Once I did that, I went to Point Loma Nazarene University and got my Master's of Arts in teaching. I've been teaching actually in the district since 2008, and I also have received special training for this class, for AP by the Sea, for AP Human Geography. So this is within, I'm not someone they just threw the good kids to. I actually know this stuff, and I love teaching it. So I want you to rest assured with that. So why the heck would you take an AP class? So for those of you who don't know, AP stands for Advanced Placement, and it's essentially the most rigorous academic experience you can have in high school. They task me with the job of basically giving you a college level, not as community college, a university level class while still in high school. So why would you sign up for that? Well, it usually is a big factor in college admissions, especially universities. So about 85%, there's been several studies. The one that our counseling department uses, 85% of colleges report that the AP experience is something they look for and gives their applicants a leg up. It also is a great place for you to learn and dive into subjects at a much higher level than normal. Of course, I mentioned our university or college level work. Not for freshmen, but for everyone else, you do get an extra weighted point for your grade point average for this class. And then also, what the parents want to hear is that there's also some really big financial benefits. The test is not cheap; it's like 95 to $100 or something like that. However, if you're able to pass that exam, colleges will usually give you a reward for that. Either they'll let you in, or the other thing is that they sometimes will let you skip a specific class, or they will just generically give you units, which is actually very helpful. So yes, it's 95 or $100 now, but that can, depending on the university, can mean thousands of dollars down the line. So that's something to consider. But nothing is free. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to do a lot of studying and reading independently. Again, I've got to treat this like a university level class. I'm going to aim for a 1-to-1 ratio. So for every hour you spend in class, you would spend an hour outside of it. When I was at University of the Pacific or at Georgetown University, I was regularly doing 2 or 3 hours of work outside of my classwork. So, and again, you do that for just the classes you major in, but yeah, you got to know that stuff. And so, but I'll put it down to 1-to-1 since you guys are or 14 or 15 years old. And the other thing you'll learn, and what will be difficult for some of you, is I'm treating this like a university level class. It is going to be tougher than your regular high school class. For many of you, I will be the first teacher who gives you a test and you study hard for it and you get a C or worse on it. I'm not trying to be mean in any way. I need to teach it at this level. I need you to act like you are walking into UCSD or SDSU when you walk through my door. Okay, so you just need to know that going on. I'm usually the first class where students start to really struggle throughout their careers. So what should you know or what should you be like to take this class? Well, you really should be independent, motivated, and a strong reader. Usually that's what you need. I'm not going to be able to walk through everything. You're going to have to read some of the stuff on your own. The students who shouldn't take AP and have issues are people with a lot of outside commitments, and this is just something you're going to have to decide. Your ninth grade year, your freshman year is when you have to start saying, okay, I can't do all things. I have to start kind of selecting. So again, I'm very conscious on how much work I give you, and I give you the least possible for you to do well and be prepared on this for this exam. But you might only get to have like one or two extra things. And that's just kind of one of the decisions you have to make. So if you've got 4 or 5 extracurriculars, this might not be the right class for you. Also, especially for the parents, if you constantly have to remind, supervise your student, this might not be the right class, just for your sanity's sake. They will be needing to be work every day. And so that's something to consider. And then the other thing, which is also really important, is if you hate geography, this probably isn't the right course. I mean, I do my best. From what I gather, I'm a good teacher. I do my best to make this interesting and helpful. But if you hate geography, please, there are other AP classes out there. There are AP biology, languages, English. So there's a lot to choose from. I take no offense if you hate geography, although to tell you, you'll probably like it in my class. But anyway, but if you don't like geography, then yeah, it's okay. You don't have to take the AP course here. So what is AP Human Geography specifically? Well, we're going to interpret and evaluate how humans connect to the Earth and the people around them. The other way I put this is, don't worry, the test is only about the Earth and everything in it. No pressure, but we will go through a lot of things. Just in general, we have 7 units which you can look up on the AP website. But in general, we're going to be looking at patterns in social organizations. We're going to be looking at impacts and interactions between people and different stimuli. And we're going to look at the spatial processes and societal changes which come from those impacts, interactions, and the social organizations. So that's essentially what we're doing. The test that you'll take is going to be in May, and that'll be multiple choice, 60 questions in 60 minutes, multiple choice. And then you'll have 75 minutes for 3 multi-step essays, essentially, free response questions. Each of those questions will have 7 subsections, lots of sentences. I will train you on all of it, I promise. Okay, so what am I going to do to make you guys prepared? Well, number one, we start off with a summer assignment. Okay, it's only a few hours worth of work, but it is helpful for you to kind of get a taste of what you might be doing and kind of realize what this class could be about. I will be giving you guys rigorous coursework. I will be giving you work to do, a lot of it which you'll have to do independently, but you will be ready and prepared. You shouldn't have anything completely surprise you on the test. I will also do a mock exam. So one of the Saturdays before the test, we'll do a mock exam for you so you can actually go through that experience. And then the other thing is that the way I like to teach this course is you're going to work hard for me all the way up for about 2 to 4 weeks before the test itself. And then that 2 to 4 weeks, I'm going to be doing just coaching for you at that point. So I'm not going to reteach. If I knew a better way to teach it, I would have taught you it that way the first time. But yeah, I'll help you and coach you if there's specific things you're having issues with. But a lot of that will be on your own because you're already smart. So at that point, I'll do what I can to really guide you. And then by that last point, you can really concentrate on what you're having the most trouble with. Okay, so how are things different in Mr. Hammond's class than your middle school or possibly other teachers at Olympian High School? Well, the first 3 things are no late work, no extra credit, and no retakes. Now, I'm not doing that in any way to be mean, but you need to understand that we are going through a college level class in a condensed format for your high school set of skills. We are basically shot out of a cannon from day one, and we don't rest until that last 2 to 4 weeks, where you're really going to concentrate on what you need to for that test. If, for my personal experience and the others teachers at Olympian High School, when we allow late work to happen, when we allow for retakes in the AP setup, the students just tend to fall further and further behind. So when it comes for no late work, I mean, I will call at the beginning of class for when something's due. Say, okay, last chance. Anybody else? No. Okay, and then that's it. And then that is it. There's not going to be extra days or anything to work on it because you just fall further and further behind. And I realize you're going to oops. I realize there's going to be at least a couple assignments that you miss, which is fine. I will give you enough assignments that you can oops a few of them, and it's not going to make any real big change to your grade. Also, when it comes to that amount of work I'm going to give you is there's no extra credit because I don't I'm going to give you the minimum amount of work that I think you need to be able to be prepared for that test, and that will be enough. You've got 5 other classes besides me. You've got a lot, and plus you're a child, and you've got other relationships you need to hold on to. So just concentrate on what I give you, and then and that's what you've given from me. And the other thing is just no retakes. And again, you'll have multiple tests. So everyone biffs at least one of these tests in the multi-part. You'll biff at least one part of one of them, but you're going to have a lot of them. So you aren't going to be stuck by one bad test. When it comes to and one of the things I always get with the no late work and the no retake, which I want to assure you of, if you've got an excused absence, then that's fine. I'm not going to tell you to come to work or come to school sick. You might have something else that pops up, like you might have a sport, or you might have something else that happens, something where you've just got to miss school and it's excused absence. As long as it's excused, then you can go ahead and turn in that work or take that test the next time I see you. So I will let the attendance office earn their money and determine whether something is an excused absence or an unexcused absence. But if it's excused, yeah, don't worry about it. Just do it the next time I see you. The other thing which you probably have heard, but might not have had teachers actually enforce before, are plagiarism policies. And you need to understand that that's a big deal. And again, especially it depends on the university, but it can be a huge deal. So a plagiarism policy, I've actually helped to modify it here at our school to make sure it's fair and works. But in my class, if you get caught copying someone else's work, or you try to take past someone else's work as your own, it is a 0 on that assignment. There is no opportunity to make up that assignment. And you get an F in citizenship for that 6 weeks. Now, that doesn't mean semester. That doesn't, you have 3 grading periods. It will be averaged with your other grading periods, but it's something that's taken seriously. The other thing is, if you're one of these students who is kind-hearted without boundaries, you need to understand, if I catch someone else copying your page, both of you get the 0. Both of you get all the consequences. So keep your work to yourself. And again, it's totally within our school's policy. It's also totally within the district's policy. So we just need to make sure that you don't cheat. Just don't plagiarize. The other things that'll be different is every chapter or unit test you have will be an AP level test. It will be focused just on that unit, but so you will have taken like 7 or 8 real deal high stakes tests before the actual test, and that can be very helpful. I've already mentioned how much work you'll have to do, and then there's a couple other things, because you're in high school, that I do that I think is that most students find really helpful, and that's that I've got a modified grading scale for you. So what that means is an A is still an A. 90% is an A. But if you get 78%, then I will give you a B minus. If you get 65%, I'll give you a C minus. If you get 55%, D minus. I do that because I realize this is tough. I also work on the weights in my classroom. So what happens is I make the classwork and homework worth more. So you should already be doing all that. And again, you can miss 1 or 2 of those, and it's not going to be a big deal. But the tests, I do that so that if you score 50% on the tests, if you just get half of the points available, then you will be able to get a C on your progress report. Okay. Now I realize that might seem like a really low bar, but on the actual AP exam, typically if you get 50% of the points, you get a 3, you pass. And so I have no problem making that happen. And to be honest, I realize that C is a bad word to many of you guys. But you need to understand, if you right now went to UCSD and could get a C, that's amazing. And many of you are amazing. You are amazing if you're trying to take this class. And so you need to understand that. The other thing that I do is I also will give you a grade bump. So if you pass that AP exam in May, I will take whatever your lowest semester grade is, and I'll just automatically bump that up 1 grade, and I'll do the paperwork and all that for you. So you don't have to worry about that. That's just another kind of reward for showing that you pass the exam. And then the other question, some of you might be a little trepidatious, especially after that last slide. Number one, it's not that bad. But number two, if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. And it's totally fine. If it's too hard, the school is going to expect you to do the semester. And again, I'll be working with you. You aren't doing this all on your own. So I'll be working with you. Um, but if at the semester it's like, yeah, this is too much, we can't do it, then you can move into either an accelerated class we have, ancient world history, or you can move into our regular human geography class in semester 2. And just so you know, I mean, again, you guys are 14. Like, if you're not ready for AP at this point and you've given it a good shot, that has no bearing on whether you'll be ready later. I've had students who've dropped out of my ninth grade AP class, and I see them in my 10th grade AP class, and they do fine. I've had kids who have dropped out of my 10th grade AP class and have moved on and done AP classes later, and they've been fine. So don't be too hard on yourself. If it's too much right now, you're 14 doing an incredible thing. So don't worry about it. So with that, I'd imagine usually I have most people still want to take the class. So if you still want to be in the class, awesome. There will be a link for the summer assignment below and just in the description. So feel free, go ahead and get working on that. That'll be due when I see you in August, first day of class. And if for whatever reason you haven't signed up now, but you're like, you know what, I'm ready, I want to do it. Awesome. That's great. But you're going to have to contact the school as soon as possible to get into that class. All right. So you guys are wonderful. I am honestly honored that I get to be your teacher. I love being a teacher, and I can't wait to meet and work with all of you guys next semester. So I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.